great. And hello, everyone. Welcome to WD Carousel Podcast. My name's Ian.
And I'm Crystal.
And we are going to do our, not last, but last of the parks.
Yes, of the individual parks.
Parks of our best show in
not
Disney
best
World.
In show.
Best
this
in
is
show.
Not a dog.
You know what? It's fine. It's all fine.
It's all done. It's
so,
fine.
yeah, we're good. It's fine. But first, we need to talk to you about our friend Jenny, who started Sea Witch Adventures.
Yeah, a Disney trip should be exciting from the moment you decide to go. Unfortunately, the details of travel, ticket purchases, and fast passes, scheduling, and meal plan can suck the magic right out of your trip. That's where Jenny comes in.
Sea Witch Adventures is a personalized trip planning service that puts the magic back into your trip by taking the stress out. You'll get concierge service tailored to the experience you want and the budget you set. The best part, there's no additional cost because agents are compensated by Disney and other travel vendors.
Follow Sea Witch Adventures on Instagram at seawitch.adventures to find out more. Don't mind us.
But honestly, though, Jenny is wonderful.
And we hope to have her on an upcoming show.
Yes.
And there we can go ahead and go over the process and what she's able to do for you. And I'm really looking forward to being able to have her on the show.
Yeah, maybe talk a little bit about some of the new stuff that just opened at Disney.
Did you just do some fun mom
energy? It'll be great. So yeah. So that is Jenny.
And Jenny, we will email you before we post this to let you know we're putting you on the spot.
Yep, absolutely. So
Epcot show.
Epcot. So we're talking about Epcot today. And so there's, in terms of Epcot shows, they are mostly in the World Showcase and they are mostly kind of movie-ish stuff.
Well, okay. Classifying this because there are the street performers, which in previous episodes where we were talking about Animal Kingdom and the like, we did not include those in the ranking options, but with Epcot, specifically the World Showcase, they put a lot of emphasis on the street shows, so we're going to at least mention them, but for continuity, we are going to mention those later. Yes. And then you are correct. As far as the shows that we will be discussing today, they are primarily going to be theatrical recordings.
Recordings using sitting or standing and looking at screens and animatronics.
Yes. And actually, there's only one animatronic show.
This is true.
So, getting into it, we have, let's just go around the showcase in my favorite order. Oh, Canada! Now, Oh Canada is a Circle Vision show. Vision show.
Yeah.
That you basically have a circle theater that you get into.
Yeah.
And they have these banisters lined up.
They're kind of just like railings to nowhere, basically, is what it feels like. You just kind of lean against them in the middle of a round room, basically.
Which I will say is a little bit more difficult for a disabled person. So if you need to sit down, or if you have a scooter, ACV, wheelchair, something along those lines, they do technically have disability access, but it can be harder to appreciate the show because there's no place for you to actually rest.
Yeah.
And if you're still sitting in your scooter, you're having to like flip your head around, versus when you're standing, you can kind of rotate a little bit easier.
Yeah. And in a purely selfish way, if you've been like on your feet all day, don't expect to get a reprieve when you're in there because they don't want you to like lean super heavy against the banisters either.
Or sit up on them. People
like,
who have like kind of scooched up on top to sit have been yelled at in the middle of an performance.
So you will just be having to stand there and lean against a railing. It's, it's fine. They don't last that long, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
but
like
just something,
15 minutes, something like
max,
that?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but something to be aware of.
So O Canada is hosted by
Martin Short.
Because
of course it is.
Because he's a relevant actor nowadays.
Yeah. Now, on a personal nostalgic note, prior to like 2010, 2012, I don't know when it was, when they added Martin Short. Before that, it was a Circle Vision show that was a lot of the B-roll that you see in the Martin Short one, but did not have any real. It was more like the China show. So it was more just kind of like basic. I am a narrator talking about Canada. It was kind of like the way it worked, and it was very cheesy.
I love their nod to
cheesy.
hockey though.
Yeah. Yes.
Because what is Canada?
Exactly.
Canada is the country of hockey.
Leaning into it. So before that it was very, very cheesy. I remember coming out of it the last time that we saw it like that, and it was so cheesy. I'm like, oh boy, that was something else. But then the next time we went, they had added Martin Short, and he kind of made it sort of meta, like the way that he handled it was sort of like he kind of was like trying to find tickets to Soarin', and like it even is a little dated now. But anyway,
let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about these Circle Vision shows is it gives you an overview of the country.
Mm-hmm.
They take you around to popular destinations as well as scenic areas, and you can literally keep turning and find something new, whether it be, going down a river and seeing the plant life or whatever the case may be. It can be very beautiful, very relaxing. There are some times where they get, the action in there and the energy of the country, but for the most part, it's just a visual overview.
Yeah. It's pretty scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when we get to
China,
which is totally not next to Canada, but it's the same show.
The order we wrote them in, so.
Yes. What was it? It was Reflections of China.
Yes.
Does not have a narrator like Martin Short. There was a guy that was walking up the
Great Wall of China.
Great Wall of China, where I was hoping it'd be someone that was familiar. Looks like he has a fake beard and mustache. I was really hoping for the cheese in there, and we didn't get it. But again, it goes through scenes of China. You have the whole circle vision. That one, I will admit from personal experience, is a lot harder to get to when you are disabled. The main entrance is in front of the gardens, and they have blocks in the way, so an ACV or wheelchair cannot get through there. And they don't have obvious postings for where disabled people can get in to see the show.
Where do you go?
That one, you have to come in through the exit, essentially.
Oh.
It's a lot more difficult. And
Spaceship Earth style,
got
it.
They don't advertise it, and there's no one there to direct you either. And the first time I tried to get in there, I almost got my ACV stuck because I was trying to get through. I thought it would have enough space, and it just didn't.
Oh, wow.
And then everybody was piling up behind me because I was blocking the way. And there was, like, no assistance.
Oh.
Whereas, Canada, they have a more clear set path.
It's actually kind of pretty. Like, you go by like the little waterfall thing and do the whole thing there,
So, Reflections of China, same thing as far as the video goes. You get to see famous monuments of China and get to experience the culture a little bit that way.
Yeah.
But I will say for ACV purposes, it is not as easy to get in. Again, it has the railings to lean against, but not anything that is comfortable.
Yeah. So then we move on to France.
Impressions de France. Which is very similar to the Canada and Reflections of China, except for it is not circle vision. It's like 180 vision. And they actually have a theater that you can sit in where they have chairs. It's very old style theater where they have the curtains blocking the screens.
It's like a proscenium
theater.
theater.
Pull it away. And the chairs are really small. I was able to park my ACV near me and then transfer over to a chair pretty easily.
Okay.
So that way I was able to experience the show as most people do. All three of these, though, are air-conditioned, which is nice, especially since we're heading into the heat of summer, to be able to have something where you know you can get out of the sun and have a little bit of cool-down time.
Yeah. Florida in September. You want to talk about that for a minute? Anyway.
We did it.
Yeah.
I was fine.
So yeah, that was...
Impressions de France. Again, same thing. A lot of scenery, a lot of feeling of just getting to know the country. The score on that one is a little bit better than China and...
Yeah, it's very, very orchestral and takes over a lot of the scenery. It very much moves with the scenery, which is kind of fun. So, yeah.
And then we get to the one animatronic show, which is...
Yeah, American Adventure, Golden Dream, or whatever it's called.
American Adventure.
Yeah.
And this is one where you can find it in the America Pavilion. And it is, like I said, the only animatronic show. You do have stadium seating, kind of like Impressions de France, but it actually goes through the history of America. So they start out with crossing over the seas, and the narrators, what are the narrators? They're...
Ben Franklin and Mark Twain to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Ben Franklin originally?
I think so.
Thomas Jefferson, I thought.
No, I think it was Ben Franklin, because Ben Franklin goes and talks to Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's what the deal was.
Either way, there's two animatronics that start off the scene and, get to talking about the history of America, and they touch base on major points. So they bring up the boats. Moving over. Yes, that's the word.
Yes.
Wow, I was a boat. It's a boat.
You got it. Yeah.
Boat. There. Yeah. And then the American Revolution.
Yep.
They talk about the Declaration.
Yep. And so what it does is it goes through all those different key events, and it cuts between the animatronics basically doing the kind of the frame story and talking, and then it'll cut to like large scale kind of film stuff where they'll supplement it with that, and then they'll cut through to different
screen illustration.
Right, and they'll cut through to different animatronic scenes and kind of do it that way. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a lot of moving parts for being what it is.
It's been compared to the
Hall of Presidents?
Hall of Presidents that is in Liberty Square in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
But there are not, all of the presidents that you see. You only see topically a couple.
Right.
So Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple others in there too that show up.
Okay.
But they also touch base on the Native Americans, Civil War. We get into the Industrial Age. They talk about Franklin Roosevelt gives a speech, and basically it's just the Industrial Revolution, all that fun jazz.
Yep.
And then they end with them on the flame of the Statue of Liberty.
On the little thing around the torch, and it's Mark Twain and Ben Franklin again chatting about, like, did you think America would get to this point? Because it's the classic, like, Disney cheery outlook of everything kind of thing. So they're just like, wow, it's really come a really long way. So it's that kind of thing. Very, very classic to what you'd expect to see.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll get into, and this is the one sort of live show that we're talking about, and this is seasonal as well. Or, I mean, I shouldn't say seasonal, but specific to the festivals going on. So across from the America Pavilion, there's the bandstand, which overlooks the lake right there.
Yeah.
And depending on the festival, they normally have something themed that has to do with music. So currently with the Flower and Garden Festival, it's the Garden Rock series, which has a number of different bands, groups, famous singers that come in, play a few days, and it's basically a free concert, which is really nice. During the summer, I know they're bringing back the Guardians of the Galaxy show.
What is the nature of the Guardians of the Galaxy show?
It's basically, you know how Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of themed on different cassette tracks? And so they, instead of having the mixtape track, they do the, live singing of those songs,
so like a cover band, all those
where
songs.
He basically has taught all of these aliens the songs, and so they're being his backup singers.
Oh, funny.
They also have Eat to the Beat, which is the one for Food and Wine. This is also the area that they do the candlelight processional for the Christmas show. Okay. And then I can't remember the actual title of the arts festival.
International Arts, yeah.
But I do know that they have music that corresponds with this as well. So depending on when you're going, what's going on, you are more than likely able to find a show where you can possibly enjoy the music. Now, last time when we were there, it was Baha Men.
So,
and let the dogs out.
The dogs were let out.
As we were walking by, it was like, oh, this is really happening.
This is happening. Oh yeah, they're the Baha Men.
Cool.
They're over there.
Another time before I went and Hanson was playing, and bop. I did not miss that. But they've had things like Postmodern Jukebox and a lot of good shows as well.
We missed that by a very short margin.
Like
and that was
3 days.
Very frustrating. Anyway, so they try to make it so that every time of year there is something to see, which is nice.
And those, I do know that if you wanted, they have a dinner and preferred seating combo if you wanted to buy a ticket and pay a little bit extra.
Where do you eat?
Not too much. They have a number of locations. You would pick a pavilion, say you wanted to eat here, and then it corresponded with preferred seating for one of the shows that evening.
Oh, nice.
So I do know that they offer that now. It's something that they came up with last year, I believe. ? Don't quote me. I've never done it.
Okay.
But I do know that is an option.
Okay.
And then the final thing we're going to count as the official shows is the Pixar Short Film Festival that you can find in the Imagination Pavilion above Figment. It's just basically them showing all the little Pixar shorts that we've seen ahead of Pixar films. And it just plays them one at a time. You can find the same thing on Netflix. I know, because that's where I originally saw the Pixar short film.
Sure.
But if, you just need a little bit of a relaxation, cool break.
Cry a little bit.
Check it out.
Pixar short films. It's amazing how short of a thing can make you feel a little teary for some reason. Overclamped.
Now, the ones that we're not going to include in this, but we have to at least mention are the quote-unquote street performers.
Right. And we were talking about this, before we recorded today, and we just kind of agreed that it would have been a sin to not talk about JAMMitors. So we had to just go in and talk about all these then, because, you just can't not, because it's to me, that's one of the things that sticks out in my mind about the future world.
Yeah.
Of everything is the fact that, you walk in, you're like, oh, wow, it's really hot out, and they are going to town with these buckets and janitor equipment. It's very cool.
So they're basically musicians that pretend to be janitors, and they come out with garbage cans and other things and do a full set of music.
Right
there in the middle of Future World in a couple different locations.
A couple different spots, yeah.
I've seen them near on the far side near Test Track. They were performing when we were there last time. I've seen them in the center area.
Yep, kind of by Innovations, one of the Innovations spots, and kind of the middle, with the stuff over the overhead and everything. Yeah.
So you can find them wandering throughout there. They don't have scheduled times, but they're an amazing group. And a lot of these I would recommend if you see them performing or have the opportunity to check them out, I would highly recommend it. Because that's what Epcot is so unique about, is the culture that you're in, and this just adds to the cultural feel of the worlds that you are in, of these little countries and communities that you're part of.
It's very cool. And so these sorts of performances move throughout the World Showcase as well. So most pavilions will have something. Sometimes it's in a little mini tiny bandstand they have back in somewhere, or they just perform on the street. Mariachi Cobre in Mexico is one of them. There's the Dragon Acrobats in China, Grooven Alps in Germany. Grooven Alps, honestly. Grooven Alps. And that's like an pop band kind of thing. Yep.
Sergio's in Italy, and all the other ones actually have official names, and he's just like Sergio. But he does
that tracks.
A number of different things.
Okay.
He's more visual based, not music based.
Oh yeah, I think he's very he's very street performery, right?
Yes. Yeah. Voices of Liberty in the America Pavilion. You can actually normally find those inside the entrance to the American Adventure. We are going to botch this name.
Matsuriza?
Sure.
We'll go with that. And I don't actually know what that is.
They're the big taco drums. Or taco
drums.
Yeah. They're in the big tower of
where they're doing
Japan. And there's 3 big drums, and they put on this performance of the big, drums. And I suck at that pronunciation. Taco drums.
It's probably super wrong. I think it's T-A-K-O? Taco drums or
A-O or something like that.
We're gonna, sorry.
I have friends that perform them too, and I apologize now that I don't know how to pronounce your drum's name.
Sorry.
So, yeah. Savoir Amusante.
Ooh.
Amusant. Is in France. They're street performers that act like they're waiters, and I've seen them pile up chairs and then balance on top of them or something along those lines.
Okay. And then the British Revolution. which is they're like a British invasion band, right? Like they cover all the British invasion.
They try to.
Okay.
They try to.
And
then occasionally there is a performer that shows up in the Canada area, but I've never seen them live, so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's basically it for Epcot.
Look at all those shows.
And they're all kind of the same.
Let's rank.
Yeah.
What would be your top of the actual shows?
Top of the actual shows. This is gonna be dumb, but I kind of like Canada because it's the thing that always reminds me of the World Showcase shows. Mm-hmm. And so that's purely from a nostalgia perspective, and also Martin Short's fun, so that's its own thing. But that would probably be my number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, O Canada is one of my favorites of them. The other one I feel a little bit more emotional towards is Impressions de France, but that's because it has an amazing soundtrack and score, and it has more castles than Canada does, and it's pretty.
There's a few. But it's mostly parliamentary buildings, so whatever.
But I'm not that big of a fan of American history, even though they have the animatronics.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would be more to it.
Yeah.
Of the standard shows,
does not engage you.
Probably be my top.
Now, for me, I might like the America one, but the problem is every time I've gone, when I've been with my family, we've always been like, yeah, but we live in America. Like, we don't need to like focus on that because we can focus on stuff that we don't know as much about. Mm-hmm. So that was always kind of our logic, and so because of that, I've never seen it.
Well, and I want something different, because you're exactly right with those. I have no real desire to be like, ooh, the Revolution, ooh, the Declaration of Independence,
I've studied all this.
The Civil War.
Yeah.
It's not something that engages me. And if I need an air conditioning break, sure, it's a nice one, but it's not something where I'm going to make sure that I go out of my way to see it, whereas O Canada and Impressions de France is normally one where it's like, yes, that's a show that I want to go see.
Yeah. So I think Canada's number one for me.
Okay.
Where are you at?
You know, I like Canada, so I like them both.
Yeah.
The only real take back is the lack of castles and the lack of seating.
Yeah.
But
those are both
Martin Short,
concerns.
though, really pushes it over the edge.
Yeah.
So the narration would probably make that my primary. So let's go with O Canada winning as number one.
And then should we say France as our follow-up?
Sure.
Maybe followed by
the bandstand shows.
Baha Men, yeah.
Who let the dogs out?
Who. Yeah, that was something.
I totally did that right now.
Yep, that happened. So anyway, so our following through the next round, Canada makes it to our finale.
Old Canada
makes it
to the next show.
Minnesotans, right?
So then the next show in this series would be the wrap-up and figure out which one of each of the parks is the top. So if we can remember, do we remember all our winners? No. I'll do that later. Stay tuned to next show to remember what our tops are.
This one's been going on for a while.
Yeah, a couple months here.
Wow, you're right. Like, I'm trying to remember all the way back to Magic Kingdom, and I actually don't remember which one that was.
It was either Tiki Room or it was
Tiki
Carousel.
Room 1. Tiki Room 1.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
But either way, the next episode, we will go over the tops of each of those, our tops for each park, and figure out which one is the winner of Best Show in Disney World.
Yes. Our pick, anyway.
Yes.
Sure, you feel free to not agree, because...
Take it with a salt lick.
Salt lick, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Ian.
And I'm Crystal. This has been WD Carousel of Podcast, and we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream